All right, let's do an audio check for everybody. Can you guys see and hear me okay? We'll wait for confirmation. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Check. Sound good. Sound good. All the Cowboys tonight. Good, good, good. All right. Well, good. I'm glad it sounds in. 1 second. Give me just one moment. I'm going to get a few things set up. It's Sunday, okay? So it's going to be a little bit more relaxed than our normal stream. And we'll go through it. So just give me a moment. We'll go over all the fun stuff. So give me just one moment. All the conspiracy theories going on over what's happened this weekend. Yeah, it was something else that's happened over the weekend. The markets haven't reacted to it too dramatically from what I've been able to tell. I thought that we was going to see a lot more volatility tonight. But we haven't. So which is kind of interesting. Am I hilarious? I don't know. But let's just get started. We have gold in front of us. I am struggling with getting our link disclosure, or our risk disclosure here. Let's do this. If I missed it, that sucks. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. This is a Sunday special. It's going to be a little bit more relaxed. You can see I'm kind of in some very comfortable clothing. And there's our Topstep risk disclosure. And, you know, this is not a signals class. This is for educational purposes only. But let's jump to it. Let's start talking about gold, our amazing gold trade. This is a daily chart on gold. And let's go ahead and zoom in. Let's zoom into a 5-minute chart and see if there's any opportunities. And it looks like the long side immediately. Let's just go ahead and take it. Let's see if I can get into a long. This is just a demo account. This is you can see my 5 express funded accounts. This is a combine. This is my coach's combine. Basically a demo account. If I pass it, I can't get to an express funded account. I just reset it. It's for coaches. But let's walk through this. I know things happened really, really quick. I just kind of entered into a trade. But let's go through, and I want to show you guys what I was looking at. So here's the gold trade that we've been looking at night during Slow Markets class, essentially at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We typically have been seeing a spike in gold and a spike in volatility, and immediately what I started to see is we have some consolidation. We have these pivots right here around 410, 411. This is a higher low. We also see a bit of a higher high, and this was a pivot. It looks like we was going to break out of it. Let me make sure I get my stop loss in, and I hope that makes sense. Instead of boxes, or instead of those circles, I think for right now, I'm going to be doing squares. And if we continue to zoom in, I'm actually going to get that ellipse off there. But let's zoom into a 1-minute chart. And yeah, maybe a short would have been a little bit better up here. I was playing for a breakout trade. And everybody knows the breakout trade at 8 p.m. Central is either breaking up or breaking down. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this one. There we go. Flatten it. That was the trade. Now that I'm looking at it, as I'm starting to zoom in, a good stop would have been at 412.4, and a good entry would have been the same, right? Where if we was looking for a breakout, it whipsawed us to the long side, and now that we started to sell off, then that would have been a great area for a stop loss. You know, 2412.4. That would have been a stop loss, or that could have been a really great entry to get in short. If you got in short up here, then good for you. It looks like we could start to sell down. And if we do start to break, maybe we see 2,400 even again. We could start to see a very rapid sell-off now. Now we're starting to get some volatility coming in. Let's get to some questions. And I mean, there's not much to really say. That was the trade, right? Getting in on a breakout or a breakdown. I got whipsawed on that breakout. If you happen to get in short, then playing that breakdown would be relatively good. But what do you mean get rid of that border? I'm not sure what you mean by that exclusive, but as we're going through here, I'm going to do a rapid fire of the markets. We're going to answer some questions. If you guys do have questions, the chat does go pretty dang quick, so feel free to type them into the chat. We have some amazing moderators who feeds me the questions just in case I miss them, but let's get through it. Do you use the MACD at all for confluence with your levels? I do not. I used to, but I do not. Let me see if I can get... I want to get that ellipse out of there. There we go. And I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna go. Let's go through it. Let's go through our regular rapid fire on the markets. We'll talk about Nasdaq, crude oil. We'll talk a little bit more about gold. And maybe the events that's happened. I know there's a lot of questions. We are traders, and I'm sure everybody's asking how will the events that happen over the weekend affect trading going into Sunday open, Monday morning. So I don't really read too much into events, to be honest, guys. I don't. Of course, they have an effect. So for example, this weekend's news is Donald Trump had an assassination attempt, right? Where he was shot at. There's assassination attempt. It looked like he's fine. Everything's okay. Maybe he got grazed in the ear by a bullet. Whatever the situation is, it wasn't dramatic enough right now, just basing off the market's reaction, to mean very much. Maybe we get a bigger reaction when the New York session comes, but I don't think, based off the market's reaction, no big deal. No big deal. I'm going to avoid voicing my opinions when it comes to the political view, but I think that event, if we want to call it an event, I think that event was more positive in favor of the Republican candidate rather than the Democrat, because it's viewed as maybe a more stronger type candidate going into the elections. But I'm not seeing it have an effect on the market tonight. Here's the daily chart on the Nasdaq. And if we're starting to look at which direction we're going, we all know this market is up and to the right. And this market has been very bullish for a while now. And we finally got a pullback. This pullback just happened to go on to just a 1 day, right? This was a 1 day massive sell-off. We all know I got caught up here on a whipsaw, hence the reason why we did that shoulder tap on Friday with Mick. But I was kind of looking for a deeper pullback, to be honest. We've had this pullback back at the end of June. I've done this analysis before. I know Coach Jay's in the chat. Whenever I do this analysis, I mention Coach Jay. But what I do is I'll pull the average pullback, or I'll try and calculate the average pullback when we are in a market like this. And all I do, it's very simple and straightforward, is when we have a pullback or a retracement here in this market, how far do we typically go? And it's fair to say maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. I would have liked a little bit of a deeper pullback, closer to 20,200s. But there is, one, maybe two examples saying that was a deep enough pullback. That very well could have been a deep enough pullback for the market. And if that was the case, or if that is the case, we might just see the market keep going up. Maybe we start to see some type of consolidation, very much like we have seen right here these 4 days, June 16th through June, pretty much July 1st, where maybe we see some type of consolidation. I would love to see consolidation. I like it when the markets consolidate, because that means when the markets consolidate, typically it's a lot easier to trade breakouts, in terms of when we do break out, we get a lot more momentum. For example, see this consolidation? When we broke out, we got a lot of momentum. We consolidated on June 18th, 19th, then we broke to the downside, we got a lot of momentum. It doesn't mean we can't get big momentum stays like this, but typically, yeah, it's just typical. How do I want to say this? It's healthy for the market to have consolidation, especially when you're looking for the market to expand and then consolidate, contract, then expand, consolidate, contract. That's what I am looking for. We really have not got that. I was looking for the market to, contract, consolidate on July 9th, 10th, and we just didn't get it. We got a lot more volatility, which is good. And we're sitting here around 20,572. And if we start to zoom in, let's zoom into a 60-minute chart, so a 1-hour chart, and you can see it. You can see this. Gosh, it's easy to say that this was the consolidation, right? Where we expand, consolidate, expand, consolidate, expand, consolidate. And it's just a repeated cycle. And the market always has this cycle. And then we just tanked, and this was a huge sell-off. I love this, and as a day trader, as a technical technical analyst, this makes trading so much easier. It really does. It's just like easy mode. I would dare say Friday was in a much easier type of environment, and I was on with Coach Jay in the morning. Friday worked out really well. Of course, we had the Fade Dakota Friday, and we were all talking about that. But in reality and in hindsight, the market is just so much easier to trade. And I'll show you why. Like, this is an hourly chart, and we finally have market structure to the left. We have some type of structure on the left that gives us clues, gives us breadcrumbs, gives us an idea where market could find possibilities to, reverse, for example. So if we're looking at this, before, when we were over the past few weeks, it's very hard, right? When the market's rallying, it's very hard to have a lot of structure, at least have a lot of, major structure where it's been tested many times, where we have a lot more confident, or at least for me anyway. And now we're starting to get that. So Friday morning, if you remember, I was talking about zones, and those zones was really good to trade for a breakout or a pullback if you're wanting to buy it, where support becomes resistance and resistance becomes support. This is the same thing. Friday, I was looking to sell this market, and everybody watched me. I took a small loss, and then we finally started to get into these key zones, and Coach Jay was putting them out as well, and you could see it. What do we want to call it? It honored these zones. It honored them pretty well. If we want to expand out the zones, this is a little bit of a bigger one. You could see, do we want to say that, right? You could see how we went right up to Coach Jay's, 660. This was a decent zone, and immediately we sold off. We went right back to the zone that was, in the higher 500s. We rallied right back up. We broke through this zone, and we went to the next one. The next one was right around 700, like this. I mean, dare we say, up here. And the market loves to work in these zones. And you hear everyone say this, right? These are zones. They are supply and demand. They're areas of liquidity. I mean, I probably cannot even tell you how many different verbiage and different ways that I've heard people call this. I personally call it support and resistance zones. Very simple, very basic. It's trading 101, and it feels really good to see this type of market and price action happen. And it's the same thing. And if we start to zoom in, we could see it a lot more clearly. So as of right now, the way I'm seeing this market, could this be a higher low? That is what I am thinking. I mean, it's a very good possibility where if we're looking, is this going to be a higher low? Are we going to be trending up and to the right to make and look to test these all-time highs? I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we start and we continue this trend up. Because if we looked at the daily chart, and if you remember what we were looking at the daily chart, I do think that there's room to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if we sell off and we come back down here, or that we consolidate, because I was looking for consolidation. But it also wouldn't surprise me if we just keep going up and to the right, because that's the way that this market has been, and nothing has really said change, right? Like the market going up and to the right this year has not really changed. So that's what I'm looking at going into tonight, going into the trading day tomorrow morning. Of course, we all know this, me better than most, as of last week, is anything can happen, and we just want to watch price action. We want to give us what the market, and regardless of what we think these events, or especially this weekend's event, might affect the market. So far, the market said nothing. The market, if anything, has said, like life goes on. Like market's going to continue in the direction that we've been going. And so far, we have started to go up. We've opened up, we gapped up, we sold off a little bit, tested right around 500, 508, and now we're right back to 574. And if we start to zoom in, and let's zoom into, say, the 5-minute chart, and then we'll start to talk about these other markets. We'll talk about crude oil, we'll talk about Nasdaq, or the Nikkei, but I want to do a more in-depth analysis tonight. It is Sunday, I don't have a guest on, and I'm feeling a little relaxed in terms of I'm comfortable. So here it is. Here is the basic price action that I was talking about on Nasdaq. That happened on Friday. If you guys could remember just a moment ago. See, this was the very, very simple. Now it's hindsight, so take that with a grain of salt. We have the hindsight where we consolidate, we break down, we go back to the bottom zone. If you're looking to buy it, that could have been a great long up here. Very basic, simple 3-bar reversal based off of you could see and draw the price action, and it's just a lot more clean. It's a lot easier for me to see. It's a lot cleaner. I know MP did really well on Friday, where we were looking to sell up in this zone, and it was looking to target 600s. It worked out really, really well. The question is just, how do you take advantage of it? Where you get in? Where's your stop loss? And those types of questions. So here we are again on the Nasdaq. And if we're looking for this to be a higher low, so for example, like I was looking at on the hourly chart, if we were looking for this to be the low, right, and we're looking for what just happened to be a higher low, then to me, this is actually looking pretty bullish, because we do see a wick or a pivot right here early morning. Here on the Nasdaq, and so this very well could be a higher low, which would mean the next stop could possibly be the 660s, maybe 640s, and now we're starting to see these zones come into play, and these areas that we could target, we could use them for stop losses, getting in, getting out of the market. I like to scale in and scale out, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm looking at. I'm definitely going to be waiting for the market to tell me what it wants to give me. We do have a nice area to look at. This was the gap open from Sunday. So this could be a clear area that I would like to see the market break out before I want to get into a trade, where we gapped up and we tested it and we sold immediately right back off to the bottom. And then this being used as a bottom. So I'm going to say I will be going into Monday using these two points around 589 and 509. So, I mean, this is a pretty dang wide range. But I'm going to consider anything in between this range as consolidation, where you could very well buy or sell up here, right? So if we want to play a consolidation strategy, we could sell to the top of this zone, and we could look to buy at the bottom of this zone to be playing a consolidation strategy. Or if we're wanting to play a breakout strategy, if we want to play a breakout to the long side, then I'd feel a lot more comfortable waiting until we break where we gapped up on the Sunday open. Or if we want to play a break to the downside, then obviously a break below 509 would be a little more on the probable side. Now, these are zones, so we know Nasdaq. Everybody here should know Nasdaq, that we could see us fake out, turn around, and have a lot of whipsaws. But that is my analysis on the Nasdaq going into Monday. No trades tonight. I don't like the price action so much where I want to take a trade. If anything, man, I don't even want to dare say if anything. I just look for consolidation. I don't even want to take a trade just because we're really not in there. Maybe there was an argument to take a trade if we would have, if I would have was watching maybe a breakout to the long side to look to see if we could retest the high of where we gapped open to where we gapped up. We sold off, we consolidated, and then when we broke out, because this is a nice support and resistance area. Right, you can see a pivot here and a few other areas around 546 where a breakout and then maybe a slow grind up, but too hard. It can be a little bit difficult tonight. I'd rather wait till tomorrow morning, maybe even the London session. Shout out to Dee. It sounds like she's going to be doing the London session. Maybe one of these nights I'll be able to join her. That would be fun. I'll probably see her sometime. I'll probably have a chance to join her. Maybe her and I can do a fun London session, or I can hop in with Cami. Maybe, Cami Capital is going to be doing something fun. But it's the way things are going. Topstep is doing an amazing job. Things are continuing to grow in terms of what we're doing. And I am excited to start to see TopstepTV expand. Here I am, right? Here I am. Dee, sounds like we have a London session. There's going to be a few other things going on. And I'm definitely having some possibility to be doing some of that stuff. So we shall see, right? Now, let's move on. Let's take a look at crude oil. All right, crude. We're starting. Let's start with a daily chart. So on the daily, I think we're starting to see a consolidation form on the crude oil. So something very simple, very straightforward that I have started to see here, and this could be it, right? Where do we see a sell-off back down towards maybe 77 down to the bottom of this? Maybe. I am bullish crude oil for a while. Everybody knows that I have been bullish crude, but technical analysis can put a damper on that. The question is, do we sell off? Do we go back down and test the bottom of this zone, or the bottom of this, these higher highs? And do we go and make another higher high? From a technical standpoint, my answer would be yeah. That would look to me to be more probable to make a higher low. Because this is looking like a lower high. Or would we have some type of news to cause us to break out of this range? I am going to say I'm not going to play with news. I do believe this is a daily now. Please remember, this is a daily. So this is a bigger trend. So even though I'm bullish on crude oil, the technical pattern and the way that the charts are on the daily is starting to get me to believe that we might start to sell off a little bit more, even though I am bullish. I would like to see a bit of a sell-off on crude before looking to buy it. Now, if we start to zoom in to an hourly chart, you guys can see there's the candles. We're starting to break down. Maybe we start talking about, is this a a double top? Let me get this. Yeah, maybe was this a double top? Maybe did we just make a lower high? Yeah, that's what it's starting to look like. We're starting to make lower highs. Did we just make a lower low? Possibly. This is starting to look to me like we're being more bearish. Now, if we do start to sell off and we do break down below this, 80.81, this previous low, then yeah, I could realistically see us starting to sell off a lot more. That being said, I don't want to be a buyer. I would be a lot more hesitant looking to be getting in longs on crude oil, even though we still might consolidate more. We might come back and test this, but there's starting to see patterns of bearish momentum and starting to sell off from the daily to the hourly, and that typically starts to trickle down to those lower time frames. All right, we have the daily chart, the patterns on the daily, trickles, and it starts to show on the hourly. Obviously, we could see this here on the hourly chart, and then it starts to impact those lower time frames like the 5 minute, 1 minute. So I would not be surprised if we're going to be down around $80 a barrel again, $80.33. Maybe we come down and test these lows. You can see these lows from the middle of June, where we could definitely see this happening. I'm not sure. I'm hesitant to buy it. I'm hesitant to buy crude oil. And I think until then, I'm going to be hands off. Maybe there's an argument to be said if we take a breakdown of 81.61, take a breakdown to see if we could catch 50 ticks on this. But I feel like that would be threading needles, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass on that one. I want to analyze gold one more time for a little bit more in depth, and then we'll jump over to the Nikkei, and then we'll do some questions. We are going pretty quick, and I have some questions piling up. So let me talk about gold, then I'll talk about Nikkei, and then I will answer some questions and we'll get to it. So here's gold, and I'm going to go through that top-down analysis like I've done on those other two markets. So let's look at the daily. This is the daily chart on gold, and this is starting to look like a bull flag, right? Where the trend is bullish, and we've been consolidating. We are back up to the highs of this consolidation pattern. And so the question is, do we break out, or do we go back down to the bottom of this consolidation pattern? Obviously, when it comes to a flagging pattern, odds are that it's going to have a continuation to the long side. So I would not be surprised if something happens and gold starts to break out and we get to above 24.55 and start to see new highs in gold. Do I expect it? I think it might take a lot more. I don't know. I think there might be some news that it might take. I do know that gold likes to go up when inflation goes down. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch, because I don't want to take any fundamentals, anything that's going on around the world, to say this is why I'm going to be placing a trade, because I'm a day trader here at Topstep. I'm looking at the technicals, but the technicals are pointing to this as a flagging pattern with a probability that we could break out. And when we do break out, we're going to see a lot of momentum. And I wouldn't be surprised if, 2,600 is going to be the next stop for gold. So I would not be surprised if we start to see 2,600 if we do break out and we start to continue this bullish trend. Because when gold moves, it moves fast. And you can see the same thing happened at the beginning of the year, where we had this beautiful flagging pattern, it's looking very similar to where we're at today. and we see a breakout to the long side. So I wouldn't be surprised. Until then, there could be some bearish momentum in gold and this is the daily. And if we start to see it on an hourly standpoint, maybe we see a pullback where we've been in kind of a channel on gold for a little while now. And I wouldn't be surprised, I don't know, however you want to draw this channel. I wouldn't be surprised if we go back down to the bottom of this channel. Maybe we see, 2,400. Maybe we see a little bit lower, another higher low. And then we have some more continuation to this upside because we had a really nice day on the 11th. We pulled back and now we're starting to consolidate a little bit. So I would be looking to be buying gold, looking to, position my trades in the direction of the trend, which is long. Last but not least, let's talk about Nikkei, and then we'll get to some of your guys' questions. So Nikkei, Japanese market, NKD. Let's take a look at this. It has been absolutely crazy. We just broke out to new all-time highs. This is Nikkei. This is the Japanese market. New all-time highs over the past few days. This is something that I'm going to be watching more carefully when we do have a breakout. So back in April, back in March, basically the end of March, is where we've seen the previous all-time high right here. And if we expand that, we just broke out. So we just broke out new all-time highs here on the Nikkei, and we broke out in a very strong way. Look where we came back and we tested. And if we continue to zoom in, this is very, very bullish to me, is when we break out. And everybody who has been with slow markets for a while, this is one of my favorite trades, is when we break out and then we have a retest and then either some type of consolidation or reversal pattern around this retest, and we look for a continuation of this trend. So I definitely like this trade in terms of which direction I'm wanting to trade the Nikkei in, the way that the Nikkei has been acting. If we zoom into say a 1 hour chart, we could start to see it a little bit more clear, right? Where we had this huge breakout, right? This was a huge breakout of over, 1,500 points. It was big, $1,500, whatever, points, ticks. It was just a very big breakout. We sold all the way off. We retested it. And we consolidated this, this was resistance. Resistance is now becoming support. And with that being said, I would not be surprised if anything looking to get long, looking for longs on the Nikkei, looking for ways to buy this, looking for ways for this to continue. Or at least maybe even, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because there is this to consider, right? So maybe if we do look to get in long down here and then we look to take profits up at this resistance and then maybe even looking for a continuation, right? Because just like I was talking about with the Nasdaq, very basic, very simple support and resistance, right? These are support and resistance zones. We come and if we want to buy them, we buy the zone and then we look to sell where we're breaking through, or we hold and use this as breakout targets and we get in long as we start to break out on the Nikkei. That's it. I think that's it, guys. Let me switch. I've seen some traders. Let me get to some questions now. Ooh, lots of questions. Let's get to them. Like I said, it's a Sunday night. It's a lot more relaxed, a lot more chill, and so I am perfectly fine with getting some of your guys' questions in. So feel free, ask me anything. Try and make it pertaining to trading or my statistics or whatever you guys want it to make about. Just not too far off topic. RTI has 2 good days. Your thoughts, please, Coach. I do not trade RTY. I haven't traded it, so I don't feel comfortable giving my thoughts on it right now. Kumara, I would definitely say Coach Jay and maybe some of the other coaches would be a lot more qualified than I would talking about those markets. My main markets, it's Nasdaq, crude oil, gold, and then the Nikkei. I would say the Nikkei. But this same concept, I definitely will say, the same concept applies for almost any market. And then ES. Yeah, you're right. ES. I have been looking to trade ES, Flyer Gym. I just haven't mentioned it tonight yet. What is a 3-bar reversal? I need to just get a video. I need to make a video of what a 3-bar reversal is. What is a 3-bar reversal? So you can Google it. It's everywhere. I talk about it all the time. A 3-bar reversal is something that's very, very simple and very basic. Okay, so we have a trending market, or we have a move. A 3-bar reversal is exactly what it sounds like. 3 bars, it's a reversal. Right there, as you guys can see it. See, we have like a move, and then we have 1, 2, 3. And this is a 3-bar reversal. It's a reversal pattern, obviously. So we have 1, 2, 3. And then to me, I say the reversal starts right at the break and the cross of that low. On the opposite side, you turn the chart upside down, you'd have the 3-bar reversal to the long side, right? So you could imagine, if this was upside down, it's the same thing. So this is what a 3-bar reversal is. There's lots of YouTube videos on this. Yeah, there's tons of them, and there's lots of very basic, information out there. That's one of the most basic patterns. I love it. It's basic, but it's very powerful. So just because it's basic doesn't mean it's not powerful, I guess. Dakota, please, how do you find major levels on the chart? What criteria do you use to identify major levels? I get this question a lot, guys, about how I identify major levels. I just change time frames. So, for example, here's an hourly chart, right? And I just look for very basic support and resistance on these higher time frames. Like, okay, this one looks like it's going to be a good support resistance, very basic support and resistance levels. If this is, here's an example. If you guys want a level that could be in play, right? If the Nasdaq gets to this zone, maybe this zone right around 860 to 852, I would say that's a major level. I would look for a reversal or a short if the Nasdaq gets up there and we start to consolidate. If the market decides to rally up to this zone, so this is completely theoretical. If the Nasdaq just rallies and then we get a 3-bar reversal right around 850s, 860s, then I would look for a short and maybe some type of a pullback. So that's as basic as it gets. That's how I look for my major relevels. I just go on to a higher time frame and then do the same exact analysis. I already talked about gold. I analyzed gold. Feel free to rewind slow markets. I've talked about all the markets that I've needed to so far. Why don't I use volume profile? It's not something I've used in my trading because I'm not saying it's not important, because volume can very well be very important. But the way that I trade from a pure technical standpoint, volume is less meaningful in terms of how I'm making my decisions, because I know when the volume comes in. I know it comes in during the New York session. I know it comes in during the London Open. You do this enough, you kind of have an idea of the times of when the volume comes in. It doesn't mean that volume does help. It can help you. It's very important. But I prefer the technicals in terms of what you've seen here tonight, the support and resistance. The more I look at, the more it complicates my trading. And I like to keep it super simple. How do you control your emotions during drawdown? I've done it too many times. I've had so many drawdowns in my trading. I just get used to it. Oh, what time frame do I like? I do love the hourly charts and the 5-minute charts and then the 100 tick charts. Dakota, are there any other candlestick patterns that you like besides the 3-bar reversals? Yes. Not only do I mean, support and resistance. I mean, there's lots of candlestick patterns that is to be said. Now that I think of it, I have a poster. I've pulled out this poster a few times, but a poster gives a really good example of like a bunch of candlestick patterns, but very basic patterns. Support and resistance, breakouts, consolidations. Like there's a ton of them, and if I happen to recognize them, yeah, I don't know. I don't really. It'd be too hard for me to name all of the ones that I like. Do I trade the New York session open after the bell? Yes, I do. Typically, I wait a little bit after the bell and let the market, kind of shake things out, get a lot of the volatility out, and then start to trade it. Kind of like the afterglow of the New York session open. Once the New York session opens, usually 15 to 30 minutes after that is when I feel a lot more confident trading. Trump situation thoughts. I talked about it a little bit, guys. So anything that, and this will be my last remark on the Trump situation, because it's important as traders to know that there was a dramatic event in the United States that could have turned things a lot worse, right? It could have been a lot worse. Let's just say this. As a trader, we do have to be aware of everything that happens in the market, right? Because it affects the market. But let me make sure I get this straight. Does that affect the way I trade? The answer is going to be no. The market, right? So what the market does affects the way I trade. So for example, if we were to come into Sunday open and the market just starts to sell off and the market just tanks, right? Let's just say what happened, and then the Sunday market opens at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we gap all the way down here, and we're down 1%, and then I'm going to be like, okay, the market dramatically cared about what happened. We are starting to sell off. There's a lot more fear in the market. Something's going on, right? The market cared a lot more of what happened because we're starting to sell off. And then I trade what is happening in the market, which would be, say, it was selling off. But what's going on right now is we actually gapped up, right? We closed at 20,540. We gapped all the way up to 79, and we sold off. Then we sold off down to 500, and it looked like we were going to start to sell off. But no, we didn't. We're starting to slowly go up and to the right? We're making our way back up to the highs. So even though there was a major situation that could have been disastrous, here we are. The market didn't really care much about that, right? I don't know. It's interesting. I do know that, and this is just based by my experience, if that would have happened in the middle of the New York session, or the middle of if that same thing would have happened in the middle of the New York session, I think we would have been sold off 300 points. Could you imagine such a dramatic event happening and all the news outlets just going crazy? Everyone's going crazy. The New York session's open. The market starts to go crazy. I think we would have sold off 300 points. And then after we found out that things are okay, we would have been right back to where we were. I've seen it happen so many times where the market does exactly like this. We sell off 300 points due to some crazy situation that's going on. And then once everyone digests it, and an hour later, everything is fine, then the next thing we know, we're right back to where we were. I've seen it happen so many times where everyone just goes crazy over this and like, okay, you know what? Nothing happened. It could have been worse, but everything's okay. Right back to where we were. I've seen it a few times, but we just have, as traders, we just have to react to what the market's doing, not what we feel the market should happen. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. I'm happy that nothing crazy really did happen. I'm happy that it didn't happen while the markets were open. Things would have been a little bit more dramatic. And yeah, he's okay. It's unfortunate. I heard someone did get, someone was really hurt during that, which sucks. We never want to see anything like that happen in the world. I mean, regardless, right? Not United States, anywhere around the world. It doesn't have to be the United States. We never want to see stuff like that happen. But when things do, we just have to be prepared for it. We have to make sure that we trade what's in front of us. Yes, my first instincts were to watch the charts. That's usually where I get and I understand things the most, is whenever you hear a news event happen, usually the markets and usually the charts will tell you first. Where it's like, oh my gosh, there was an assassination attempt. Okay, well, let me look at the markets. And if the markets haven't moved, then I know it was just fake news, or it wasn't, or maybe nothing dramatic really happened. I'm not saying what happened is not dramatic, but the market just doesn't really care right now, because it was nice because it was a Saturday. Well, it was Saturday, right? It was Saturday, where the market had plenty of time to digest and everything came to light, and now we're trading. We're higher than where we closed. So this is where we closed, and this is where we're at. So we're up about 40 points on Sunday after everything that happened over the weekend. So everyone who thought just come in and sell, right? Everybody who said, let's just come in and sell the market because of the events that happened over the weekend, you'd be losing. You'd be negative. So I've learned so many times, do not place a trade based off of what you think the market's going to happen. Trust me. Trust me. I've done it too many times. Sometimes it works, but you can't really just, it sucks. Yeah, if there's news that's just not 100% exactly what's happening, you definitely do not want to be placing trades or putting your money at risk. Hi, Coach. What do you mainly look for on the 100-tick chart? I'm going to have to go over the 100-tick chart maybe one of these days and go over more details. Chief Chris, I'm sorry, but that's messed up. What is messed up? It's sell at equilibrium. ES looks way more bullish than Nasdaq. Dakota, I'm just going through some of your guys' questions. How do I handle trading during I usually watch you, but after hearing Trump getting his fake, I can't. No one ever said the news was fake. I never did say that. Maybe go back and rewatch it. Rewatch what I said. Make sure when you're listening to me, listen carefully. I've never said what happened was fake. So I don't know. Maybe you just didn't have the volume up. No hard feelings if you don't. Yeah, no hard feelings. If you don't want to watch me, then that's fine. If you believe that you heard something else. But yeah, there's a lot of fake news that is out there around this world. And, could you imagine if the market was to react dramatically on everything? But the fact that an event happened over the weekend and the market was not open, it gave plenty of time for the facts and everything that did happen to show, and like, okay, guess what? the Republican elective did not get shot and is not dead. There was no assassination. So therefore, the market did not sell off, right? But if this was to happen during the market regular hours, like during the New York session, and that happened, we know for a fact that there's so many news outlets who makes it sound very, very dramatic. And that will cause a very dramatic reaction to the market. But because we've had the luxury of time before the market opens, then we know that these are the facts. This is what happened. It's not as dramatic as it could have been. So the market has not reacted in a very negative way. We're actually positive in the market. So I hope that makes sense. If not, see ya. Like, that's the reality of it, right? We have so many news outlets and so many things that affects the market. The one thing we can do, and the one thing that we do know for sure, is what is the current price? What is the market doing? And how do we trade that? And anything outside of that doesn't really matter, right? So whatever that means to you, Chief Chris. So whatever wow means to you. Yeah, market's going to do what it wants. It's our job to be taking advantage of movements and following our strategy and to react. It's Chef. All right, we're I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna ban you. I honestly don't really care. But if you want to be here, I don't mind. If you want to, and I'm always open for that, guys. I want to hear to talk about markets. I don't mind having conversation because conversation and like even some debate is very critical to learning and education. And I'm not right every single time. No, I'm not. I will not ban anybody unless someone's being a complete jerk or spamming. Then I don't mind if there's something to be open to have a conversation about that means something, and it could be very meaningful and helpful for myself and everybody here. And this does matter to the markets and the way that traders trade. And it's a relaxed Sunday. Come on, guys. It's Sunday afternoon. The markets really are not doing much. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you feel like I said what happened over the weekend is fake news, then sure. Go back and watch it. What do I trade most? I trade the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is what I trade the most. I focused on the Nasdaq during the New York session. I like trading the Nasdaq. It's a lot more volatile. I'm used to trading the Nasdaq, but I will trade, and you guys see me talk about this a lot, is crude oil. Looks like crude oil is taking off. So here we go. This could be an example as we're talking. Could there be news that came out that is affecting crude oil? Very much so. Maybe there's news. Is there news? Usually the markets move first. So there very well could have been a news event that made crude oil jump from 81.80 all the way to 82.40. And this is something where we don't know what's going on in the world. We don't know what's going on in the markets, but crude oil is going up. All right, this Chef Chris, you're gone, dude. You're not willing to have an understanding, and you're obviously assuming something, but see ya. Yeah, I hate people that just are not really open for conversation. And I don't think I said it. Did I say that what happened over the weekend was fake? No, I didn't. He could feel free to rewatch it over and over again, but he could have fun by himself. I mean, it's no hard feelings. We want to learn. We want to have good conversation. And if he wants to come back, he can. I will not ban him. I didn't ban him. It's like a 30-second timeout or a few minute timeout. People can get their feelings hurt all the time. Yeah, if he misunderstood something, then so be it. That's the beauty about having things recorded, right? Yeah. Oh, well. But was there news? Is there news that I missed that's affecting crude oil? Gold going up? Yeah, so if gold's rallying as well, there's definitely, I don't know if this was yeah, that's not a big enough move to say that there could have been news that we missed. But yeah, this is a good example, right? As we look at crude oil, you don't see any news, but there have been times, there's been a lot of times where we're trading, right? And this happens a lot. Maybe you're in the middle of a trade, maybe you're trading, maybe you're watching the charts, and the next thing you know, there's a huge spike, and you have no idea what's going on. And you're like, wow, crude oil just jumped, almost $1. And there's been plenty of times where I'm sure all of us have experienced the same thing, where we're in the middle of a trade or we're trading, and whatever market that we're trading, it spikes or it drops and it starts moving and there's a lot of volatility and it seems very dramatic. And you're like, we have no idea what's going on in this market. And then you find out 5-10 minutes later that, oh, there is something that happened. And then we could start putting the logic together saying, wow, crude oil just jumped, $3. But let's find out what happened later. We need to trade this, right? So if crude oil jumped $3 and we have a lot of volatility, we want to react to that volatility. We can trade it. We can, hopefully make money off of that. And then later, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, we find out that there was some dramatic news that caused crude to move like that. Unless you want to be one of the, this is also a very decent option. This is probably maybe even a better option for newer traders is if you see something like that happen, if you see a dramatic move in the market in one direction or the other, don't trade it. Maybe just wait. Maybe you wait for the market to calm down and then you start to trade it. You don't need to trade something that you're uncomfortable trading or that you're not used to trading or something that caught you by surprise, right? Maybe you wait, you look, you can see, okay, well, there's some news event that happened. Then I'm going to wait for the market to settle down. And then maybe an hour later, then I'll start trading. So there's so many ways that you guys can do this and that we can do this as traders when it comes to news or dramatic news events that does happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, then we can do it. Look at gold, original Jeff. I just pulled up gold. I mean, we're just breaking to the long side, just like crude oil. You just passed a combine on gold. Nice. Beautiful. Can you do a quick one on ES? Worldwide Trader, I will make you a promise. Tomorrow I will cover ES. I ran out of time today, so I will say tomorrow I will cover ES. Feel free to remind me because, hold me to that. I have short-term memory. And so if you guys, I'm leaving it up to you guys to hold me, for me to cover ES tomorrow during slow markets. No fire drill tonight. Chinese GDP in 3 minutes. So that could be something, right? I missed Nikkei. No, I did cover Nikkei. I covered it. I talked about it a little bit tonight. Yeah, I talked and I covered Nikkei. I've covered all the markets I typically do. Make sure you guys are here. Come on. You guys have to hold up your end of the bargain and let's show up to the beginning of class and, hopefully stay to the end. So that way you don't come at the end and ask me, did I cover this? Did I cover that? You guys also, it's not just me. You guys have to hold up your end of the bargain of being here during those class. So, you get all the information as possible. And then you could ask the questions if you don't get it. So I definitely am going to hold you guys and everybody that's watching my slow markets class up to just as high of standards. You guys need to be watching, or if not, rewatch it, right? I mean, we just seen that chef, chief, or whatever guy come in, and maybe he misunderstood something. Maybe I don't know what he was getting all upset about, thinking I said something. Maybe the weekend was fake news. I don't know. But yeah, he got really frustrated, but for no reason. Yeah, so hopefully we could do something. I know there's a lot that's going on. I'm going to be, and everybody knows, I'm going to be I'm going to start dedicating some more time to helping traders here at Topstep. So that could be in the form of having an extended slow markets class. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see. Only time can tell, but things are coming along really quick, so expect for a lot more stuff to be coming. Yeah, no, I know for a fact I didn't say anything outside of the normal to be offensive. But, everybody has their right to be offended over whatever they want. It's life, right? I mean, if people... I'm not going to continue to get here and be political, but anything that anybody can say, somebody around this world could be offended over. So whatever. Coach Jay's over here messaging me, making me laugh. But the goal is always to help everybody who tunes in to become a better trader. We could talk about the markets. We have fun conversations. Yeah. I don't mind offending people. I mean, if I don't offend people, then am I really doing my job? People's always going to get offended in this life and in this world, regardless of what anybody says. That's just the reality. And especially when we start talking about something sensitive. Dramatic news that's happened over the weekend can be very sensitive. If you have family involved, if it was dramatic, right? There was, could you imagine trading the markets during 9/11, during the Boston bombing, during any dramatic event that happens, not just in the United States, but around the world, right? Trading the markets when Russia invaded Ukraine, and Topstep, and hopefully I'm talking and everybody understands that we have traders around the world. You guys are not just here in the United States. The United States, we're not just in this little bubble. Topstep is an international company. We have traders from around the world. And so you have to be really sensitive to all of the world events, right? Things that's happening everywhere in the world. It's dramatic. It affects the markets. And regardless of anybody's opinions, I've never heard anybody here wish negative on another person. And that's not what we ever strive or say. But those are some very sensitive issues that we're going to be always talking to when it comes to these dramatic news events, because it could have been a lot worse. I mean, I could be sitting here with the market selling off, talking about an assassination that was successful, and I don't want to be doing that. That's very negative. I would never wish that to happen. It'd be sad, and nobody, at least that I will talk to, would wish that negativity on somebody else or their family. But it's sensitive, and when you start talking about sensitive news and sensitive information, people get their feelings hurt. News came in red. China GDP. Yeah, here's all your guys' gold fix. Yeah, JQ, I do know that somebody died. I do know that there was a fatality and someone else got injured. But if you do realize, and if you notice and you watch the events around the world, outside of the United States, there is a lot more sad and dramatic situations that can be happening day to day. If I was to come on to Topstep TV and start talking about all the little, I don't want to say little, but all of the events that's happening around the world, it'd be a very sad show. But that's not what it's about. This is, this is a trading show. I'm here to help you guys, become better traders. Hogue says it best, pray for world peace, pray for peace, nothing but positive. But we are here to make money in the markets. We are here to become, better and successful traders. That's what I'm here to help you guys. And I'm doing this on my own time. So I'm here to help you. Hopefully you guys can understand and not be so sensitive about those things. And I always hope that you guys will be able to call me out if I say anything like that, because it works both ways. If you guys say anything stupid, I will call you out on that. And if I say anything stupid, I would expect you guys to call me out on that. But here's the beautiful thing. Everything I say is recorded. And if you say one thing, just watch the recording. That's the beauty of the YouTube. So I'm going to end it there. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tomorrow's Monday. Take care. I'll see you then.